The views and the opinions expressed by our guests are purely their own, shaped by their unique life experiences and personal biases. While we value their perspective, they do not necessarily reflect those of the boardroom or strategy. We invite listeners to engage with an open mind.
The common problems are to be solved for multiple people. Being a chartered accountant, it was always a hitch behind. So at that point in time, idea was also not there. It was just a curiosity that let's understand that what is the core problem. Being a financialist, it was always a hitch that I'm somehow away from my alma mater.
How do you envision this when you started?
Finance is an area where you just can't trust a mobile screen. I personally believe is finance is 30-40% numbers and 60-70% emotion.
Maybe asking the right question is what the AI might not be able to do right now.
When your brain is taking you towards right, but your gut is saying to go for left, that tug of war, how do you solve that tug of war? And that's where the right advisor comes in picture.
And which is more important to
It very profoundly say, taking an advice is less costlier than taking an unadvised. Ultimately, it can't answer all your curiosity.
this is a problem that needs a solution. We have the solution.
So it's not one person who is giving you the whole advice. It's a team of professionals trained into different area. So if the firm is growing, you are also growing financially and professionally. That's
What was that one point or a milestone or a feedback that you got during your early days that you thought we are on the right track?
into the business that we are in, we have to make sure that people are rewarded for the people activity. You have to make a decision of what should you do. Let's buy a house. Should I prepay the loan?
As a chief HR of your organization, what traits do you look for the collaborators and the vendors that you are getting associated with?
You can increase your income suddenly from, let's say, you are at an income of 15 lakh to 20 lakh. So focus on the overall financial well-being is the tripod of wealth.
Welcome to yet another episode of the Boardroom. Today we have a very dear friend and a special guest with us, Mr. Lalit Bajaj. Lalit is a co-founder at Finvest, which started during a pandemic as a side hustle, is now today a full-fledged grown business with which is serving around 800 plus individuals and families in financial consultancy. Lalit remains the core strategic mind and the product architecture behind Finvest while keeping a minimal public profile. Known for driving Finvest lean structure and automation-centric approach, Lalit has been helping Finvest and individuals through their financial journey across from years. Let's welcome Lalit to the boardroom. Welcome, Lalit.
Thank you.
Lalit, what was the tipping point? What made you think of Finvest? How it all started?
I always, being a chartered accountant, it was always a hitch behind. So I started my career in technology, but being a financialist, it was always a hitch that I'm somehow away from my alma mater. So it was always behind the mind, but during COVID, I think seen a lot of people going through the financial stress in and around, be it in the company I was working with, people were not really having clue what they are actually doing with the finances, but they were really not prepared for a kind of a meeting. So when COVID hit, it realized. So that's when it was a curiosity that what is the spectrum of the problem. So we started with talking to a lot of people. I personally started and then added Avinash into the mission that let's understand the magnitude of the problem. So what we realized is there are so many product sellers in financials, big mutual fund, insurance, especially the banks tweak you, but there's hardly anyone who are actually looking at your problem in a holistic manner.
Right.
When we did a survey of roughly 600 people, all salaried at that point in time, because that is what was our the core problem.
Conducting surveys during pandemic was which is a little.
But it was fun. It was fun because people had a lot of ample time. It was easy to connect with them, understand what they are, what their perspective is. And in fact, I think that realization of that financial hit made them speak their heart. That what actually they made the mistake.
So can we say that it was a tailor-made situation? to
Kind of, I think we were at the right place at the right time.
With the right idea.
Yeah. So, no, at that point in time, idea was also not there. It was just a curiosity that let's understand that what is the core problem. So, when we talk to those 700 odd people, some people we just gathered the Google forms and all those things, but roughly 70-80 people we spoke face to face, understood their thing, and then we realized there is hardly anyone. It's a kind of an hub and spoke kind of a model, wherein individual at the center is the core decision maker, and then if there is a need for insurance, he will go to someone. If there is need for say term insurance, he will go to someone. Mutual fund will be multiple people, and ultimately that single person, that the center of the finance becomes the hub, and then the multiple financial distributor become the spokes. But it somehow were not balancing the holistic advice was not there, and that's how we said that what if we create a firm or a kind of a solution which aids that hub, not the spokes. Most of the industry is financial services industry is built on the building on the spokes, that we are distributor, we solve a problem of mutual fund. That's how most of the financial services are built. But that's where we started, that we will aid a kind of an support system, an education system, or a trusted partner, whatever you want to name it, to that hub. And that's how we started. And initially we started approaching obviously the close circles, and around 40-50 people agreed for the trial of the product. That we want to do a try, that if this is how we manage your finances. So those people agreed. And I think it's high time that we thank them enough, that because of their eagerness and the time that they have given us, I think Finvest has a stage where it is today. So yeah, so that's how we started. It was a kind of an experimental. We were continuing doing the main bread and butter what we were trying to do.
What were you? I know you were working with a multinational in a leadership role. What was Avinash doing at that time?
So Avinash is also a finance director at a leading finance real estate firm. So he always worked in real estate, knowing a lot of people's finances from the core.
So did it started because you guys had a little extra time during pandemic, or it was always back of the mind and you found that time during the pandemic?
So me and Avinash, we know each other for almost 20 years now. So we did our chartered accountancy together. We stayed in the same hostel. We stayed in the same flat. So it's like always whenever we meet, or he's also a chartered accountant but in the industry. So that hitch is a common connecting point for us, that we must do something for which we started our career on. So that was the starting point. And then when this problem happened, Avinash also knew that a lot of people got stuck into illiquid assets in the real estate. And that was the connecting point, that he also realized there was a lot of stress, people paying their EMIs, especially on the real estate. That was the point through which he started. And then I also realized into the salaried class, there's a lot of people who don't even know what they are doing. They already own 2 houses and still they prefer to go for third house, keeping all of their worth into illiquid funds. And then when the COVID kind of a situation comes, when liquidity is the paramount, that's what they don't have. So as I said, the person is rich, but not in the cash.
Correct, not cash rich.
So yeah, not cash rich. So he had money, but not at the disposal when needed. And that's where the whole of the financial structure was going wrong, was there. Apparently came to the analysis. That's how we say that it's a problem wide enough. Let's understand. So that was the thing, that हम समझेंगे कि क्या है, लोगों से बात करते हैं, समझते हैं कि क्या चीज़ है, and then over a period then we realized कि it's a problem worth solving, and then we build the product. I think still we are into the phase of building the product, enhancing it. So we believe in solving the problem in the right manner. And there are its own challenges with this kind of a product, which is not aligned with the industry structure. Industry structure, as I said, is a spoke, wherein you push a product, wherein the pushing a need, or based on pulling based on the need, is hardly anyone. It's not that there are not there.
People don't know that what to buy. They would get to understand only when somebody is offering a product to them, and that's the basic structure today.
Exactly, yeah. So, classic example, like salaried के बैंक अकाउंट में बोनस आता है and the banks start calling them सर ये इंश्योरेंस प्रोडक्ट है, you pay 5 lakh per year for 5 years and then you will get 10 lakh per year after 15 years. That's a very catchy marketing strategy and most people fall for it. But it's actually a disastrous financial decision. So those were the core undercurrents that we realized. Then we said if we build it again in the same manner where we distribute the product, then probably we are not solving the problem in the first place. So we took a counter thing that we will only be an advisory firm wherein we work with you, the hub, as a support system, taking the right decision. And if you see the Finvest structure, it is education, compliance, risk, and then wealth. So the steps, like first you get yourself educated on what is the financial all about. Then obviously compliance, because a lot of people
fail to understand the compliances and get into.
Not only fail, they consciously choose not to comply.
Okay.
क्या ही हो जाता kind of a situation. And I think that's more or less government of India has solved that, because people now realize that with the increased vigilance and the use of digital technologies, there is no way they can get away from such things. But still a long way to go on the compliances. But we in 2020, when there was no focus on the compliances, we focused on
staying compliant doesn't make you less wealthy or less profitable. You would still be profitable by taking wise decisions and then following the right.
And it's a peace of mind as well. At the same time, you can be confident of there is nothing to worry about. And the third was risk. A lot of people, even before protecting themselves, they take the risk. It's like you are jumping from an aeroplane without the parachute.
Correct. So you don't take qualitative risk, or you don't take risk at all. When there is an opportunity with minimum risk, you will not take it, because you are very risk averse. So there is extremes.
Exactly. Both way. Risk wise, like either if you don't have the parachute, you won't have a confidence to take the plunge.
Correct.
So either you are stuck there, wherein there is a real opportunity, or you are taking an over risk without the parachute.
Correct.
So that's how most of the people were at the extreme. So that's where we prioritize that risk mitigation or protecting, or at least being aware of the risk, because that's the first journey. If you are aware, probably somewhere you will take the action of it. If you are just not even aware, then there is no question of taking action on the risk that you have directly. And then comes the wealth creation. So that's how we structured all of our operation, the brand value, delivery methodology, the way we engage with clients, and I think it's been fruitful. A lot of people realize that what we are doing is a holistic way in a different manner. So yeah, I think it's fruitful till date. Have our own challenges going against the
so when you started back then in the pandemic, you said that it was just finding right answers to few curiosities that you had, and then you surveyed people, you got feedback from them, and then it helped you curate products and stuff. Today where Finvest stands with a huge customer base, where so many individuals, families trusting you, buying your consultancy and services year on year, had you envisioned this when you started?
Frankly, not. We envisioned ourselves as a kind of a tech company. That we will solve it through the technology. But when we started building the product, so back then when we did 600 survey, our objective was to be a tech company, because I belong to the tech. That's how the narrowness of the problem solving structure was there. But when we got deeper into the thing, the initial 50 people, it was very apparent that tech alone won't be able to solve it. Tech is not the primary way of solving this problem. It could accelerate the way we solve it. So we said that we will focus on the tech enabling the problem solution, not the tech solving the problem. So it's more from an angle that it's a human connection, because that's what I think finance is an area where you just can't trust a mobile screen. There are thousands such products wherein it gives you something, but ultimately it can't answer all your curiosity, or because it's very personal.
It's very contextual.
Very personal. If you have a problem which is peculiar to you, it's impossible, not impossible, but almost in a way, non-fruitful way of conveying a problem in a very...
Maybe it's a right solution, but not right fit to an individual.
See, when we say solution, I think solution has to solve a problem.
Correct.
But if it is creating more question and not enabling you to take the decision, it's not really a solution. It's just an starting point where you can start exploring these are the multiple ways of decision taking. If I put, let's say there is a common question that should I buy a house or not? A tech can give you, these are the 3 calculations that you can do, and based on this you take the decision. But after that, what happens? You will go back, reflect. You need someone to challenge your way, because finance, I personally believe finance is 30-40% numbers and 60-70% emotion.
Correct.
And that's where the core barrier into the decision making, the lure of greed and the fear all comes in.
So, don't you think that technology earlier used to solve only the automation part of it, where it used to, it can easily do the mathematical part of it or analytical part of it, but today with the influence of AI, or with the AI coming in and using a lot of natural artificial intelligence into it, understanding the behavioral pattern, be able to get into more emotional connection with your audience. Don't you think even AI can then be a part and solve a lot of...
To an extent, yes. So let's say, as you said, analyzing the emotion AI can do. Still mimicking the emotion, understanding the decision barrier, whether it's the greed, whether it's the fear that is hindering you take the decision, I think still AI is not yet there. It might be there in 2, 3, 4, whatever number of years, or maybe earlier.
Maybe asking the right question is what the AI might not be able to do right now, and which is more important today. Ask the right question that then gives you the insights of behavioral patterns or emotional patterns that one is going through, and then be able to give them the right solution.
So asking the right question AI can replace, because it can read your past patterns, identify it,
Right.
and all of those things can definitely be there. But let's say you have reached a decision. Apparently, the decision is you should not buy a house because you already have a house, and still emotionally you are invested in that. Yeah, this property is really good. It has a potential to grow. I really want to invest. It means you have a conundrum or a fix that the decision by financials is apparently very clear that you should not buy it, but still you are not able to take that decision because that's how your human mind intricately forces you to think. Then what do? It's the place. This is the place where I think the right advisor can assist you, because at this point in time you don't need more data point. You need someone with whom you can rely upon.
So I want to take a decision because I want to take it.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't sound a very sound financial decision, but I want to take it. In that case, how do I take a decision, and how do I know I'm taking a risk, but then how do I hedge it? Different other ways, but I still go ahead with the decision because I want to take it. Is something that you're trying to say? Or
let's say, see, I'll tell you, a lot of decision making is less brain, more gut.
correct? Correct.
Less brain, more gut.
Most of the times, it's a human nature, right?
Yeah.
Humans are cognitive misers. We say कि हम लोग थोड़ा सा सोचने के लिए गंदा करते हैं. हम लोग either will commit and then we'll learn from errors rather than giving the mind in the first place.
Agreed. So in those cases, when your brain is taking you towards right, but your gut is saying to go for left,
Correct.
that tug of war, how do you solve that tug of war?
Correct.
Between the brain and the gut?
Correct.
And that's where the right advisor comes in picture. It can tilt it towards the right frame. Obviously,
And it might not always be.
you need a trained advisor as well.
And it might not always be towards the logical part. It may be also aligned with the emotional part. Okay,
Exactly. As long as you are aware what you are doing.
Correct.
See, as a Finvest, when we envision, we never said that there is a binary yes or no to anything. By design, if you work with us, or we have got a very candid feedback from clients as well, that you never give us ye karo or ye mat karo, unless we are pretty sure ki ye mat karo. Like, never buy an insurance investment product. It's a clear cut decision. We can be definitely on this side, black and white.
Correct.
It's black, it's white. But a lot of financial decisions are not black and white. It's the multiple shades of grey. And which shades of grey suits you is up to you. So that's where we consciously decide that there is no right decision per se. It's just emotional situation, your upbringing, your own core dreams, subconscious desires is what makes you take those decisions. And it is impossible as an advisor for us to pinpoint that X client should do these things and Y client should do, because it is impossible. All said and done, I cannot gather that data practically. So what do? We rely on to the client's judgment as well. It is, and if you see the core mission, then we say we empower you, take control of your finances. It means you are at the center, you are the hub, we are the support mechanism for the hub. So we don't preach you don't do this or do this. This is not what we are trying to say. We don't give you an e-learning module, yes, seek lo, samajh lo. It's a journey that we are. If you want to be experimental, if your gut is saying it, you are aware of the risk, you know that if the outcome is not in my favor, this is my risk mitigation strategy, by all means take that decision. It's an evaluation that you are making for yourself. But in that evaluation, make sure that you don't get extinct. That is what is the advisor's role, that you are not taking a risk which is like too bigger to sustain, that either you will sustain or you will just get out of thing. So evaluation will happen, so be with that. Take risk, take uncharted territories, there is no problem with that. Follow your gut, because see, satisfactions come from what? I have say 10 crore in my bank account, but I always have that hitch of, I should have tried that, or wo property में invest कर देना चाहिए था 10 years back. Does it helping you? That bank balance, that mutual fund portfolio is not letting you do that. But having that financial satisfaction that I did what my own terms, obviously, with all the risk and mitigation in place, my today's foundational situation is safe enough because I have put risk mitigation before my wealth creation. And then you actually took that decision. It means that although you have went south or downhill with that decision, you had that consciousness.
End of the day, you might have a little less money in your bank balance, but you have more satisfaction that you tried.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then it's not always about money, right? It's about what goals you set, and that goals would not have monetary outcomes always. It would be a lot of goals would be emotionally driven, or maybe something that is spiritually driven, or maybe personally driven. So it could be any reasons, and then you have to get that. So an advisor would see what needs to see what. That brings me to a very good point where academics, education, and advising and consultancy actually differ. So the one solution fit all would never happen. You would have different people in similar situations willing to have different approaches to same goals, because the personalities, the individuals also differ, right? So you have to coach them differently. So a lot of time happens where partners of same organization, I would advise them differently, because I know that the person behind the role is also very important, and that's what same I think is true for your consultation also.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
So, what was that one point or a milestone or a feedback that you got during your early days that you thought, we are on the right track, or we are doing this, I think we have found it, and this is a problem that needs a solution, we have the solution?
I very candidly remember one of the client's interaction. They took a loan worth 1 crore and they were sold a loan linked insurance policy, which for 30 years you normally take the loan, and that policy costed them 3.5 lakh one time payment for 1 CR, whereas the benefit associated with them were hardly anything. It was mostly a commission driven product, bank has sold them, and they end up increasing their loan by 3 lakhs, and every month roughly they were paying 2,500 worth of EMI extra because of that 3 lakh. After a year or so, when they got in touch with us, we realized that this is not the right product for them. It should not have been bought in the first place. That a very fancy business benefit, like if you lose your job, not because you resign, not because somebody thrown you away, not because of the performance of you were thrown away. So all the conditions made it almost virtually impossible to fit into that you really actually lost the job. But the premium for that, associated premium for that was 1.2 lakhs.
Okay.
It means what you are just paying that premium unnecessarily. We analyzed, we discussed with the client that these are the conditions, which is like making it almost hardly 0.5% probability when you actually such event happen, you are actually getting that claim.
Correct.
And it had only 2 months of salary paid as a benefit.
Okay.
They realized it, we said you have to surrender it. It was a fight with the banks that we can't do it, and we escalated to multiple people. Ultimately we were able to get that insurance solved. And roughly 70% money of those 3 lakhs got refunded to the customer, 30% lost for 6 months, but 6 months or a year or so. But they were really happy. And when they came back, after the event, they came back and told me, all of the team, that this is the first time I see in my whole career that somebody has really thought about us in the financial products area. And that was, I think, was the real realization that I think we are on the right path.
Okay.
And that was also one of the realizations we need, that hand-holding as well. Only tech cannot solve it. Let's say as a tech we could have given them the solution, surrender your policy, we have solved the problem, we have realized you, given all the things. But the discussion after telling that decision, making that confidence into the customer that you are onto the right path, why it should be done. When bankers are cross-pitching, that's where the core game changes. That's where the real financial decisioning happens. That tech alone cannot solve it. So this was the major realizations that what is the right path for us forward.
Say now we have Finvest, but who before Finvest was supposed is expected to give such kind of advice?
No, it's not only Finvest that is doing it. There are a lot of people at this moment also doing it under the name of, let's say, SEBI register, RIA. Government is also hardly 1,000 of such nature people around India.
Okay.
It's not enough, but there are good people as well into the industry. But the problem is all of the industry is structured into the spokes.
Okay,
client is not
apart
ready
from this advisory, so see, access to an advisor or maybe to appoint an advisor may not be a normal pleasure, at least from what I know from the society that we belong at, going to an advisor is not the first thing that comes up in your mind whenever you take any kind of decision. So for example, I am taking any kind of financial product or I am willing to buy a house or something, I don't usually think of consulting somebody in terms of if my financial decisions are safe. The at most that I would consult is my CA, maybe. But CAs are more aligned in the routine work of filing returns and making, and they are more focused towards tax saving rather than helping me. Or I don't think so. Nothing to do with my CA, but I don't think so. CA would have the motivation to study all the products itself in the first case. वो जाके सारे products पहले evaluate करेंगे, study करेंगे. Whenever I am ready to buy a product, they know what the product is and they can guide me in the right direction, or they have the motivation to guide me in the right direction. So where did these people, when you started back in COVID times, did you find that people used to get knowledge and information from any other sources, or did they even seek for advice?
Actually, no.
Okay.
That's precisely against the current is what when I say it. So most of those advice are like you are either taking a guidance from your close circles, your friends or family.
Maybe somebody has taken
who have taken a similar decision. कि यार तूने ये किया था कैसे किया? Kind of a situation. Or googling, so blogs and reading through, and then obviously those are not up to the mark. Self-study, and somehow you reach to a conclusion. And as you rightly said, that thinking of advisor doesn't. Even people who are on advisory end up taking decision without consulting.
Correct.
So that is not a common norm.
Correct.
That you should consult. It's a real pain, or it's a real change, behavioral change that we have to drive.
We come from a society now where we have been so much price or risk averse in terms of cost that is going to be involved in anything. So we come in a society के decision लेने के लिए या कुछ चीज करने के लिए advice पे खर्चा क्यों कर रहे हैं या ये they don't we as a society don't come with this कि बस advice ले लेंगे तो maybe आज हमको थोड़ा खर्चा लग जाएगा पर आगे जाके बड़ा पैसा बचेगा है ना. So हम उस टाइप के background से आते हैं तो maybe investing into an advice is something that is not that comes as a natural in the society that we are in.
I agree, and it's a common classical product building theory as well, that selling a cure is easier than selling a prevention.
Correct.
You can sell a cure much faster.
Correct. Because that's the need. People need it because they are already in trouble. They would go
exactly.
For
selling a cure is much easier than selling a preventive thing.
Correct.
So you might be seeing a lot of into like gym membership everywhere, wherever there is a preventive kind of a product, it's difficult to sell.
Correct.
It's a human nature.
Correct.
And I think that's precisely where the fun is, that you are trying to do, you are trying to read people's behavior, what that one sentence, what that one behavioral aspect changes.
Correct.
It's a journey, it's an experimentation that we are ready to do. And yes, I agree that it's not a norm to be on getting an advice. But I can very profoundly say, taking an advice is less costlier than taking an unadvised.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
And it's data back. It's not just emotional, it's data back.
In my case, I'll tell you, there are a lot of people whom I advise to close the business that they're doing. And they're like, because हम आपके पास आए थे कि आप हमको बताओ इस बिजनेस को हम ग्रो कैसे करें या इस बिजनेस में हम कैसे मार्केटिंग करें जिस तरीके से बिजनेस ग्रो करते हैं वो. And what after knowing them and knowing the context behind everything that they have done, the best advice that I could have done is to ask them to not do what they're doing because I don't see them going anywhere. And then people, and then I have a lot of people who come back and thank me for that. So so there are people who are doing a lot better than they would have done in the earlier entrepreneurship journey that they were in. So as you rightly said that maybe not taking an advice is more costlier, but people don't realize it because it's more preventive.
Till it becomes the cure solution, I think it's difficult to say.
So, as a founder, as an entrepreneur, you generally play multiple roles and you juggle between multiple decision making in different disciplines of business. हम ही हमारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में HR हेड है, हम ही हमारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के CEO है, हम हमारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के ऑपरेशंस हेड है, हम ही मार्केटिंग देख रहे हैं, हम ही सेल्स देख रहे हैं, right? So highlighting that, that's the theme of our podcast, highlighting that and highlighting HR as a role. How do Finvest run such a complex, such a personalized, such a one-to-one relationship building product over such a lean team? So you are handling more than 600, 700, 800 clients. How do you manage this and how do you manage your teams?
So we are around 10 people now, I being not the operations person, just outside. So it's a challenge. The business in which we are, we really need someone who have the context or breadth of multiple products and the solutions, the education. So the undercurrent education being for your compliance, risk and thing. And it's almost impossible to get a singular person across the team. So whole structure is build your processes in a way which highlights the integration between the three, the compliance, risk and the wealth. And probably over a period people get trained onto the foundational first principles of all the three. So what we do, we have a specialist for each areas, be it wealth, be it insurance, be it taxation, direct and indirect. So we have specialists of those, and then we have an overstepping people who have some knowledge of both. So kind of a cross-trained for area, so that if I am thinking from a tax angle, I also think from a risk angle. Or if I am thinking from a risk angle, I also think from a tax angle. So that's one way of cross-training helps. And second is the processes that we are building into is very checklist-oriented, digital savvy, wherein you onboard someone, you go through certain steps that check this, check this, check this. And those checks in turn at the back end highlights all the integration between the cross area, that if person is having someone who is more dependent, let's say somebody's parents is sick or having a critical illness, you need a better safety funds. So all those subtle knowledge that an individual, either from a wealth or risk, together we have identified those core tenets and built it into a mathematical model.
So there's where you bring the automation and the technology which assists you.
Exactly.
So all the repeat work, all the work which is not contextual or behavioral or analytical is done by your processes and systems, and then over that whatever is required can be done.
Then the advisor takes over. Yes. So it's just more like a we do the data entry. Then do you have this? Both on a behavioral persona, we do the risk model, and then your actual situation. Say, do you have anyone in your family who is critically ill or who is dependent, let's say physically disabled? So all those questions are very easy to answer. There is no, in fact, even a not simple plain graduate person who is talking to someone can extract that information and record it. Once all those are recorded, it is fitted into our mathematical model. So we have three theories, like circle of defense, tripod of wealth, and buckets of prosperity. So based on those, all the three are created as a mathematical data point based mathematical model, that if this is the situation, this is the persona, this is the thing, these are the weightage given for such decisions. And so what we have done, that subtle subconscious mind based advisors decisions, we have converted it into a mathematical thing. So at the back end it looks like it's automated, but there is a lot of research and the feedback and the fine tuning has happened over a period of time. And still it is getting matured, because more the persona, more the people's behavior that we go through, we feed it back. And so that's how this comes in. Most of our action item or decisions clients should take is generated through these data entries. And on top of that, then at a holistic level, then the cross team sits together. So one summary is created for a client, like what type of persona, background, current status of the financial, the future aspirations. So all those things are created as a summary, not for the customer, and then cross people give their sense that okay, is in this case this client is not utilizing X benefit, so we can propose them to do it. Or if he restructure it this way, then he can save the taxes, at the same time reduce the risk together. So those action items are identified and given it as a concise action item to the customer. So it's not one person who is giving you the whole advice. It's a team of professionals trained into different area who are collectively looking at it. You might be seeing it as a single person delivering it to you, but there is a team at the back end. So is it a model at the back end which is actually involved?
So isn't it? So I understand the operations part of it, but when you consider the HR part of it, doesn't it make a very critical role for somebody who's within the team becomes very critical and very important, because he is now into he's the bridge basically between the technology and the customer, between the processes and the customer, between the advisory and the customer. So doesn't it make very critical? And if it's so critical, how do you make sure that it is not individual or people centric and it is a role centric, or a replacement of a person is easy if there is any requirement? So, or is it a challenge, or how do you manage as an HR of your organization?
See, it's a challenge. So we are into people business. We can't do away with it. All technology cannot replace the people dependence. So what we try to do is two things. One, we work on a partnership kind of a model. Our employees are not only our employees, they are partner in the building. So our recruitment strategy sometimes for the critical roles that we do is identify them as that, are you first aligned with the broader purpose that Finvest is trying to serve. So if you align, then you get the critical role. Otherwise, we don't recruit for those critical roles. And then it's a kind of a co-foundership or a kind of a partner wherein you handle your specific thing, and then you become the growth engine. So your remuneration is directly dependent on the total growth of the firm. So if the firm is growing, you are also growing financially and professionally. That's how we are trying to see, because into the business that we are in, we have to make sure that people are rewarded for the people activity. So, but yeah, at the same time, we also reduce the number of people that have, because the more stretched we are, more number of people that we are, it will be difficult to manage the profit.
And that's what leads to my question, where as you increase your customer base, as you increase of people who have this sense of partnership or ownership within the organization, won't it make it, what do you think, I'd like to understand as a chief HRO of the organization, won't it make decision making or taking decisions which is decentralized maybe, or is it still a centralized decision making where the goal alignment, the value systems would be intact and the objectives would be intact, and how do you assure that, or how do you ensure that the value systems will still be intact with growing numbers of partners and people in your team which would be taking decisions at their end eventually?
So, two things. When you say scale, let's say we grow from say currently 800 families to say 2000 families. So it's not a directly 1-to-1 proportion that we need to grow with the partners. It's not like currently we are, let's say 3 people at the core or 2 people at the core, we'll have to double. It's not like that. Reason, maybe the number of people has increased, but the number of problems to be solved doesn't increase proportionately, because virtually everybody of those 2000 people will have the same problems. So even for today, if we say roughly 80-90% of the decision making that we do is already handled by templates. Because if you have to make a decision of what should you do, let's say buy your house, should I prepay the loan? These are common problems are to be solved for multiple people. And that's precisely where we use the technology to scale down or do that. So we define those problems into a very structured format in the first place. So initial for 5-10 similar kind of a problem, we don't try to standardize it. We learn from the multiple aspects of the problem, structure it, and then we define a technology based or a system based calculation methodology, that these are the 10-15 financial parameters, these are the 5-10 behavioral parameters or persona parameters that we have. If this is the thing, this is the decision. So more or less anybody. So the brain that the 3 people have put in is already into the model. So next time it's just a replication of the same model, and after that the individual who is talking to them might find out that something is missing. That comes back as a feedback and the model gets improved.
So can we easily say that your business, the product system or the solutions that you have built is designed or could be designed in a way where the more you grow, the more automation will happen and the less dependency would be there on actual human resource?
I wouldn't say less dependency, because the improvement will always be there. So when we are looking from a behavioral angle, from a financial angle, I know there are only 10 parameters to be checked at. So that can be put in. But from a persona or behavioral angle, there are so many other aspects. So there would be a consistent feedback loop. So people dependency would be there, but not at a level wherein I would need an army of people which are educated to solve the problem. So we will have the less number of people scaling the solution. So it's more about, I already know this is how this problem is to be solved, get onto the call, explain it well, and help you take the decision. So it's more I would need is the hours, and that engagement that I'm doing with my clients, say half an hour I'm dedicating to you to take the decision, is what is the scarce, not that knowledge.
But that can again be a very decentralized
Exactly.
where you can have advisors on call, or you can have freelancers or partners working with you.
So that's how we try to, it's an evolving model, there is no hard and fast that this is the final solution. At this moment we have a dedicated family relationship manager, that for this family you are the core, whole and soul, these are the people. So that person who is the whole and soul conducts all the calls with the family, because that person knows the background, how to communicate, what are their core challenges, and there are so many things which cannot be data based. A lot of things cannot be put out onto the CRMs. You have to understand the person, their background, their family history, integrate relationship between the individuals of the same family. A lot of these things cannot be easily told to. So that's another problem that comes with the scale. That's the bigger problem for us, that how do we retain that knowledge of that when I'm communicating with a family, then I know that family's intricacies, the way they look at their financial, their behavior pattern, their history, because not everything can be into the data systems.
As a chief HR of your organization, what traits do you look for the collaborators and the vendors that you are getting associated with? Are there any specific set of traits or values that they need to have to be partnering with you in your organization?
Three things top of my mind. Value system wise, if I tell you, it has to be customer centric. It cannot be product oriented. That's what is the first priority when we go with the partner collaboration. If I align with that, obviously there are a few things which can only be through the product, but still have that mind that is this product right for the customer. So that's a non-negotiable. Tech savvy is another way. You have to be structured. The processes have to be structured. If I tell you something, I need to know the that. If it's like a kicked in the long grass kind of a black hole wherein we give you something for the client and then don't hear back for eternity, then that's not the right way, because you have to be either a very process oriented or a tech savvy wherein the visibility of the work being done is there. And your structure of conducting the client calls, the way you collect the data from the customer has to be up to a level.
Okay.
So either we enable you
Okay.
from a vendor perspective that
But the mindset should be there.
yeah, mindset of that level of delivery, something is there. And the third is clarity of the commercials.
Okay.
So it's not like, okay, let us start, we will see aage kaise karna hai. That's not how the business scales. It has to be clear that what you are going to
end in mind.
yes, what you are going to see, so that it's easier for us to communicate to the clients as well that this is the pricing structure that you should look for. Transparency and the clarity is important, because this is where I think a lot of relationship make or break. So these are three things that comes to top of my mind, that from a culture is more important, that the way you conduct is more important than the skills. Skills can be
But the mindset should be right.
Can be augmented, yeah.
Being a marketing advisor, managing my own marketing when it comes to my business, there is a huge trend. So it becomes very difficult to practice what I generally preach. So it's not the right thing to, but it's a honest confession that sometimes you are so involved in so many things that the advice that you would give in marketing to somebody, maybe it's very difficult for yourself to implement it when it comes to being the CFO of your own organization. A lot of times you have to take financial decisions in the organization. What KPIs or ratios or matrices you focus as the chief financial officer of your own organization that are very focused or very important to you, that you don't miss out on?
I think that's a role Avinash plays.
Okay.
I'm hardly into it, but from an overall role perspective, I have to see, even today for us, those KPIs are not something that we monitor from a financial level. All we monitor is the cash flow, because we have to salaries to pay, rentals to pay, and the software subscriptions to pay. And as long as we are managing that well and managing the culture well for the team, I think from my perspective, I'm still okay.
Right.
Because let's say somebody is to be paid. So most of our even partners, let's say Avinash or me or whosoever, the co-founders, were at this moment more focused on building the product than driving the profitability. Product is primary. As long as we are able to sustain the commitments that we have, and then we have the forecasted commitment from a cash flow angle, that's good enough. So we don't have a lot of thrust on, like let's say 5 lakh still idle into the bank, let's invest into a mutual fund, we'll earn 2% extra. I don't think we are there yet, and we don't intend to be there for at least for next 1 or 2 years, because the amount of admin that we will end up putting into that extra 2%, rather we will focus on building the product. So that's the core focus, because and I think as a CFO or as a CEO or whoever you want to name it, or even with the philosophy of let's say tripod of wealth that we have, it fits in, because that's where we are focusing on what is giving us that edge of making more. What's your developmental investment? This is the developmental investment that we are trying to do.
Can you give a little bit of context to our viewers on what exactly you mean by tripod of wealth?
So, a tripod of wealth is a kind of an age-old concept, even from Vedas, even from your parents that you have seen, is balance is more important than the extreme, and that's what we are bringing into the financial. A lot of people, when we say tripod, the wealth has multiple aspects of wealth. First, a lot of people focus on the material wealth कि मेरे पास इतने म्यूचुअल फंड का कॉर्पस है, इतना स्टॉक है, इतना रियल एस्टेट है, my net worth is X crores. That's what the primary driver is, and we think that is the central pillar of your tripod. Which if you just focus on that, you will always be juggling to balance it out. That's where we have to more support system into that tripod. So one is developmental wealth, another is spiritual wealth. When you say developmental wealth, is like spending on your network, spending on the skillings, spending your time more wisely in a way that it increases your earning capacity. Let's say you put that 10,000 into your SIPs or any financial product, it generates 15% with a lot of risk, let's say 20% return. So that 10,000 you invested today will every year give you say 2,000 rupees of return. Whereas that same 10,000, if you put it into your developmental wealth, you upskilled yourself, you invest into a network or a conference which broadened your horizon, where the real opportunities are, you connected with the right people, it can increase your income suddenly from, let's say you are at an income of 15 lakh to 20 lakh. It means the 10,000 investment that you do on your developmental growth has a multifaceted growth potential on your overall financial. But this is not the primary focus for a lot of people. And that's what, when I say Finvest, we are focusing on that. Product is where we make your money, not that 2% extra interest where we make the money. Don't focus on to short-term, low return yielding thing. Not that it is not important, it's not, because it's a tripod. Every leg has its own importance, but don't over commit on to the one leg so that you lose the whole balance. So that is developmental wealth, and then there is a spiritual wealth. A lot of time, a lot of people I have personally seen in my journey with seeing the data for the clients is they have all, means good real estate, a significant level of earning maybe in 5-6 lakhs per month, and still they lack that satisfaction of kuch to missing hai kind of a thing. And that's where I think that spiritual investment comes in picture. That a trip with your family, friends, or a donation can give you, can rejuvenate you, and spending on yourself as well. Like just take a break for 2 days, go have some good spa and massage, spend time in tranquility away from all the digital thing, can get you much more clarity or an action oriented thing. So focus on the overall financial well-being is the tripod of wealth, not just the material wealth, the spiritual and when I say spiritual, it's not in the real, it's not religious. It's not like you just get means sab tyag karke chale jao. That's not what I mean by spiritual. It's like spending on yourself, which keeps you safe.
For the mind.
Yeah. So material wealth is what you have earned, increase it. Developmental wealth, increase your earning capacity, and the spiritual wealth is keep your same to earn. But because if you are burned out, even your current income will have an impact. So don't be into that situation. This is how the 3 legs of our tripod of wealth works in tandem.
Thanks. So coming back to the CFO role that you play, has technology helped you being cost efficient and scale your service? If yes, as CFOs of your organization, how do you plan to invest more into technology? How do you calculate the risk? How do you calculate the returns and ROIs?
Yeah, technology, I think, it's a boom for any business. So let's not discount the power of how a good system, good processes can help you. So definitely super par return than any investment. So and we do currently we are heavily invested into technology, and we are also building our app and ecosystems to build it for future. the question that you asked is how do you calculate the ROI? If you're, I think from a simplicity, if you reduce it, there are only two ways you can judge things. If the technology is towards your operation, it should reduce your human effort. If you have a technology which is temporarily might increase your TAT, let's say because somebody has to do certain things in certain manner, instead of just calling and saying this is the decision, they have to record the decision and make sure that it goes through. So obviously it will increase your initial effort, but that effort, the data that you capture can help you look better at your operational efficiency, that where you are lacking or where actually the time is, or it can help you early identify the something which is going to, like let's say some client action is not happening which technology can identify, then it's a saver. So if your processes, you invest your technology in your processes in a way that it increases the efficiency or even at a cost of that initially, it gives you visibility and it gives you a better way of delivering your product, then that is the ROI. It's pretty difficult to calculate it in the financial terms because all you will end up doing is estimating few estimate parameters and doing it. But when you see it in real action, you will actually subconsciously, as I said, gut-wise, you will know that this technology helps you reach there.
I see a lot of entrepreneurs investing into technology, thinking that it would optimize their processes and systems and reduce their turnaround time. But technology is also there to be understood, right? So a lot of entrepreneurs don't understand technology and shake hands with technology, and after pretty much get it invested into it, realize that maybe they are not able to understand it or comprehend it, and they leave in between, right? How important it is to take any such financial decision backed with the knowledge of the decision that you are getting invested into. So I understand that you come from a technology background. For you to invest into technology is again risk is mitigated because you understand it. A lot of entrepreneurs would enter into it without understanding what processes, what systems. Technology, we don't just mean IT technology or information technology where you bring softwares or tools, which is maybe there is some process, some tools that you bought, some machinery you introduce, some processes you introduce as is also technology. But without being fully aware of that or having no study of it, how difficult, or do you think still going ahead and investing and doing trial and error in the long run would be profitable?
No, if you don't understand it, it's like a double-edged sword. It can cut you through as well.
Correct.
Your people, your processes, and your technology has to be aligned. It isn't cohesively working together.
Correct.
Let's say you implement a CRM system, but none of your employees are either forced, let's use that word, or don't have any incentive to use the CRM, or don't understand what's the benefit of using the CRM, because it is going to be a painful exercise recording everything, doing all the data entry, making sure if you are calling a customer, call it through system, if you are calling it, having a meeting, record it so that it can help you. But if nobody is doing it, technology per se is useless.
Correct.
It is actually derailing you than enabling you.
Correct.
So agree, unless your people and processes are aligned with the technology,
Correct.
don't go there.
Correct.
First, align that. Are you willing to take that call that I will make sure that my people align to the technological requirement.
Correct.
Any technology per se is not a magic wonder thing that
Correct.
it will happen.
When it comes to my field of marketing, I see it as technology. I see it that it's again a set of processes, a set of systems that you apply to, which would help you develop or grow faster or better your business in a certain way. And you rightly said, unless and until your teams and techniques, which we say, there are 3 T's involved in your, they say you have a tripod, so you said we have this triangle of 3 T's where you have tools and teams which are aligned with techniques, processes. And unless and until your techniques, processes and the people, your team is not adaptive with the technology, then you would end up losing the game. So you have to align.
Definitely, and then I think it's with every business.
Correct. And that's what brings us to the next role that you play as a founder, or as an owner of a business, or an entrepreneur, is operations. And knowing you and till the conversation we had till now, I see you being very much focused on operations and processes, and how you use technology and different things to optimize on that. Can we fairly say at this point that what tools or automations have become non-negotiable factors in your process of building Finvest?
CRM,
Correct.
clients' financial data systems are non-negotiable, because without which we won't be able to do.
Managing 800 plus individuals, right? Families. Individuals would have been more than 800. So, of course, there needs to be a very strong CRM to keep a track on each.
To keep a track of like which family have what background, which individual within that family have what. And so all those things. Then their data secrecy, making sure, because we are into financial data, security and the secrecy is even important. A lot of same families, people are part of us, like father, son. So having that wall, that understanding that these are the two different family groups, cross proliferation of the data is not to be there. Discussing, so making sure that there is not same person having, because
goals would be different.
Yeah.
Goals would be different, and
no. So some people are not even comfortable sharing the data between the families. So making sure that each family unit is treated as a separate family unit irrespective of their relationship. It could be husband and wife treating their financial too differently and not comfortable. All said and done, in the current world, all such complex realities comes with us, and we have to make sure that level of sensitivity is assigned to the financials is important. And again, CRM helps you do that. Correct. That not everybody can access everybody's data. We can give access time based, that only till you are working you have access, and then it will be removed, and all those things are there. Certain data are encrypted so that only authorized persons can be accessed. So that's where the CRM systems comes into picture. A lot of automation, then it helps, like as I explained earlier as well, that a lot of actions comes from the data point. Like if you have X, then you should do Y. If this, then that kind of logic. So unless we do those data entry, if this is not clear from a data entry, then that cannot be clear. So it has to be in a way. So then again, the CRM becomes the really core critical system to capture the thing. And then updating of the data at a right frequency, because if you keep updating at a very peculiar time, like I don't intend to review it for let's say 6 months, because your review is done, and if I keep updating it every month, obviously we'll have to connect with you, so it's a cost from your people, and it's a return to the client as well. That's why do you need all the OTPs, all the data again and again and again. So we have to have a fine balance between what is the recency of the data that we need. So that is, I think it's an evolution that we did over a period of time. Earlier we were trying to be, we will have your up-to-date data, because that's what the trend was, and we just got lost into the trend. But then we realized, is it really important? Because the core advice is not something related to data. Core advice is not related to the accuracy of the data. Even if your data is 99% accurate and giving you decision, even if you make it 100% accurate, if the decision is also going to be same, then 99 is good enough. You don't need to make that, because ultimately what is important is what is the action that you are going to derive, not the accuracy of the data. A lot of people spend, including us in the early days, spend a lot of time on the operation on making the data accurate. And that's where I think a lot of effort went, because after
a while, Andy said there is a weighted average to data also, right? End of the day, if the more weightage is to the gut, because you said the data would help you in decision making 20, 30, 40%, but the aspiration, the gut, the feeling, the behavioral aspect is more important.
There are two parts to it. One is data is important.
Correct. Data
See, the marginal benefit data, accurate data will give you, after a while it loses. Let's say you have 75% of the data, it takes you into one direction or guideline of this is what you should do. Now additional 5% accuracy that you bring will not take you additional incremental. So incremental benefit
And the decision will not might change that much. Correct.
So your additional accuracy into the data doesn't give you the additional return on the accuracy of your decision. Your decision is pretty much freezed at 80-85% of the data accuracy because virtually it is known. So a lot of time used to get spent on the unnecessary analysis, unnecessary data accuracy, which we have over a period done away with. Earlier it used to be, when we started 5 years back, it used to be more focused on a very rigid action item. Now it is more like a guideline and a path that we derive, that this is how you should do it, because life is work in progress. Today what you seek as your goals might not be a goal tomorrow. And all said and done, however good goal setting exercise you do with the client, it is going to change.
That brings me to a very important question that's in my mind for a long time now. That being process driven, being technology driven, automating systems, operations would not would however help you give faster, optimized solutions, but maybe it takes you away from giving customized solutions because your technology would not change for individuals, right? It would stay the same, your processes would stay the same. Then how do you balance processes, process-driven operations with customized products or customized solutions? I have, till this point of conversation, I have understood the answer, but if you could just highlight it, how do you balance customized solutions with process-driven operations?
See, it is, as I said, till now, it is more about the understanding the customer.
Okay.
And that understanding, maybe 50% is data, 50% is their history, what led them there, how over a period they have evolved, that personal engagement, and it's a precise challenge for our scale as well. That it's difficult to spend that much of a time with each customer.
But I think AI would solve it. So what I see from where I see is your processes come where there are repetition, processes come where there are work which is repetitive in nature and non-analytical in nature, where data collection, taking inputs, understanding the need, requirement, status, history of your client. Till that time, automations processes help. But then to analyze it and give them the solution is where the customization is required, and that is any which way is personal.
Where that is where the person, the advisor comes in picture.
And then that is where the customization also is required.
Yeah, and not necessary that what the data is given is the final, because you have to on the fly also, because a lot of things is not there in data. When you discuss with the customer, then you realize, okay, this is the reason somebody is doing it.
Okay.
Maybe your data gives you that you only have an income of X, and that's how you should protect it. Whereas when you discuss with the customer, you realize there is a backing of a significant inheritance coming from, let's say, parents, which is giving them the risk-taking capability, which cannot be taken into consideration of the data. That do you have an anticipated inheritance?
Correct.
It cannot be.
Nobody will be able to answer it.
Willing to answer. So a lot of such subtle behavioral or real the situation tweak the decision. Okay, maybe a standard formula say this much into fixed safety. But somebody is like, I don't need safety because I can always fall back on my parents from a safety. They are already sitting on crores of FD. So why should I can take the risk. That's how I am planning.
Saying so, and what you have already highlighted also while you were speaking, that it does bring challenges of scaling up a bit, but that's something that you are exploring maybe, or have you found any answer that how do you scale customized advisory where your dependency on human is least? Will AI be the answer to it? Will
say when 3 years back the scale challenge was how do we go beyond 300?
correct?
Now we are 800. So it's not that if I look back at that point in time, we have already scaled 3x.
Okay.
So I would put it in a way that at what level of scale you are trying to go. So if you are trying to go from say 800 families to 2000 families in a year's time, I think it is doable, because for the same customer, for the same thing, you won't be doing a lot of re-analysis. Once you understood the customer's thing, once you structured it, and once you given them, build that relationship, I think it's put it into the autopilot more or less, and then it's like more or less your repetitive processes takes over after that initial assessment. Because say the objective is to correct what is wrong and do what is right. That's the core advisory. Whatever is wrong is corrected in the initial year or identified, and the action plan is put. And then whatever is to be done from a right angle is also identified in the first year, and then we do it.
The mindset is also
peripheral. So mindset is also built, alignment is also done, all the grooming that the client needing is all done. It means now it's just an act, which is a repetitive, SOP driven, a team of people can do it.
But saying so, then should we say that Finvest is more of a niche solution than a mass solution? Finvest is not going to be a mass product where we see the entire world coming up to building their financial systems with advisories through Finvest. Finvest would always be a niche process where there will be more one-to-one relationship between more one-to-one advisory happening, though there would be challenging to scale, but the product quality would remain the paramount.
Yeah, so to an extent yes, but there is an alternate way of looking at it. So we have a technology diagnostic product. So let me give our product line. So Dhanachek, it's a wealth diagnostic product. It's a whole technology based. Some human intervention, but we know that by doing XYZ action, we can bring it to the 100% tech.
Correct.
And that's where we are
Tech enabled. One product is 100% tech enabled, scalable.
It could be
A mass
for
product.
the masses.
Correct.
So wherein if you want to diagnose what is wrong with you, like your health checkup, my blood parameter, these three things are out of the balance, this tool can do. Then comes the handholding. Obviously, we will have a people limitation. What if we create
A premium personalized product
So what
over
we
your
have?
tech driven.
So in this case, we can create a kind of an affiliated firm network, wherein we train them, we take the advisor to a level where of the quality that Finvest expect. So this is like a peripheral firm, which is kind of an Finvest affiliated, Finvest trained, quality controlled by Finvest, but delivering to the mass clients. So that's another way of the scale that we can look at. But there are so many things up in there. What if we bring them into the Finvest firm network, a kind of a partner network and all those things? There are multiple ways of scaling it. There are a few models that we have already identified, trying to do experimentation. But yeah, so it is going to be people driven, and it's not that this model has not been done in the past. Like a lot of business advisors, like we name it, like Deloitte, PwC, their partner network actually engages with the business. Every business requirement is unique. It means they are able to scale, they are able to go worldwide. The similar model can be built onto the personal advisory as well. We big bang value. We have the partner network, or partner come employee, handling a specific set of clientels and delivering the value within the core value framework of business. So it depends. Yeah.
And that's the operational part that you are willing to get engaged into as a CEO of the organization, where there is the product part of it, and there is the scalability part of it, where you would require products to be given and offered to your partner network to go and do growth hacking kind of activity where you scale with your network.
To an extent, yes. At this moment, I think product is more of a focus than the skill. As long as we are able to build a product which is for masses, how to distribute it, how to deliver it is a second level of problem. We will worry about it when the product is in.
On this note, let's have a quick rapid fire before we move on to the last few seconds of our podcast. Are you ready for the rapid fire?
Yep.
Yeah. So, systematic thinking or systematic investment plan?
Systematic thinking.
Systematic thinking. A planner or an improviser?
Improvise.
Improviser. One finance quote that you live by.
Life is work in progress. Adapt as it comes.
Nice. A financial product you feel is underrated.
Term insurance.
Term insurance. I relate a lot with that because you have been behind me to take it. Growth or control?
I won't choose one of them because both are important. Not necessary. You cannot have control and the growth together. So it's not mutually exclusive.
But controlled growth is what your answer is?
Possible.
Excel sheets or AI dashboards?
As it fancy. Not say, yeah, as I said, no black and white. These are the shades of grey. For some solution, AI dashboard, for some solution, simple plain Excel is much faster than the complex AI dashboard. Doesn't make sense for us. Depending on the problem at hand.
Equity, real estate, or gold? What excites you the most to advise on? Equity, real estate, gold.
Again, shades of grey. It depends on your background. Somebody who is having a risk appetite, earning let's say 10 lakhs a month, saving 8 lakhs a month, equity is the goal to asset because you don't have a goal and you need the growth. Somebody who is having 100 crores of income and the only objective is to protect the wealth, then real estate and the gold is the only, you won't put it. So as you earn more, the lesser exposure is what you do towards equity because when you earn less, the growth is more important. The growth portfolio is more important. But when you earn more, protection of your existing capital is far more important than the growing that capital because you have already earned it. Right? So it depends on where you fit it into the time.
One financial myth that you wish people would stop believing in?
Insurance cum investment products make you wealthy.
What's harder, building a strategy or simplifying it?
Simplifying.
Simplifying it. Okay. So, one tool or app Finvest can't live without. What is the go-to tool? CRM. For viewers, can you suggest few CRM tools based on services industry that you?
So we have used multiple, but I think for our purpose, Zoho CRM has turned out to be the best.
Okay.
There are various other tools like HubSpot we tried various niche open source CRM, but it depends upon your overall strategy. There are like Udo into the market, then there is Open ERP also equally good, and then the like paid versions of it. It depends on your long run strategy. If you want to build your custom ERP strategy, then Udo or the Open ERP makes more sense. But if you want to use the off-the-shelf COTS kind of a product, which are faster to deploy, and faster to explore and deploy, then I think Zoho would make more sense.
Coming up to the segment or the role that is more aligned to me, which is marketing. As a chief marketing officer of your organization, how did Finvest attract the first wave of clients? You said that you had, and I think in the process of this conversation, we have already understood that you started more by engaging people and knowing them, studying them. And I believe those people who you were the first engaged with while the process of building the product only got converted into customers. Was that so? Or
initial customers were all in personal network, friends and family who believed in you than your product. Frankly, they said, "It's you who I'm believing in. You want to do this and this. I will put my weight behind."
Yeah.
So it was mostly initial. Let's say 50 odd people were more like a kind of a core network, personal network who believed in you than your product. And that was, I think, the core icebreaker, helped us build the bigger product in the first
and then
place.
what channels helped you later to grow that over?
Once we engaged with those, then we started tapping the referrals of those people because they were happy, we asked them. And I think referral is the biggest attractor for us.
Organic.
Because we believe in customer experience extensively. For us, customer experience is supermost than anything else, even over the following the processes. So team is enabled for a customer experience. If you have to break the processes, you are empowered to do that. But you must back it with that. This is the experience because of which we wanted to break the process. So customer experience is what is the topmost, and I think that helped us get even more people because we were more customer centric. People referred within their friends and family network. We started experimenting with other lead channels like affiliations and the social media, but yet to mature on those. So it's very pretty early to discount on them. But yeah, to do that, it's mostly the word of mouth has worked for us.
What positioning you have consciously crafted? Is there a positioning or is it an association that you have managed to craft that the people already associate with the brand, or if there is not, so what is the one positioning that you are willing to have for Finvest? Is it a boutique service advisory services? Is it tech savvy services? Is it more focused towards personalized advisory? How do you position Finvest?
So I think from a client's perspective, what we position is three areas: unbiased, holistic, and the reasonably priced.
Okay,
Not
so-
very high priced, not very cheap also.
So affordable, holistic financial advisory kind of.
Kind of, yeah. Unbiased, affordable, and holistic.
Do you believe in thought leadership and content-driven growth in financial space?
Yeah. Whether I believe it or not, it is truth of them to me. And yes, we must tap that. I think we have been lacking onto that significantly.
I know you are an author of a book. You have written a very beautiful book,
Wealth wellness.
Wealth Wellness, where you say that how there's a health wellness, there is also wealth wellness. So, do you think thought leadership, content marketing is helping you?
It will, but we are yet to tap it fully, to be really candid and frank. But I think we must start putting a lot of effort onto that.
So can we safely
Unless
say,
you go to the market and
can we
people-
safely say that in Finvest you are more till date, or even now currently you are more in product development, product growth, product optimization, and you have to explore other aspects of
Yeah, so I think we are at the trail end journey of product creation and improvisation. Now it has set as a process in the feedback loops. So till date, yes, for last 5+ years, it was more about product than about sales. That if you have a right product, right ways of delivering it, the right delivery values, then probably that the next step would be to scale it. And I think we are at trail end of that period wherein product development is stabilizing. It's an incremental now than the exponential product focus. But yeah, now that's where we are pivoting towards more sales channel and going to the market kind of strategy.
given 5 lakhs as monthly marketing budget, where would you invest it today in the today's context?
Two areas: workshops wherein I am able to get a lot of people, and personal outreach wherein even with like a super good referral bonus or a kind of an monthly decision camp wherein public at large can come up with anything and advisor at their disposal giving them free advice, wherein people, so it gives a lot of people a view or deep of
Taste of
Finvest
it.
reference, and then probably create a funnel where it can be converted to the customers.
Great. Let's come to the last part of our podcast, where we reflect on all we have been discussing till now. What has been the biggest mindset shift from what you had started till where you are today?
It looks all rosy when you start with, but that excitement, that motivation tapers down. You need a lot of gut, lot of conviction
To stay around.
to continue what you started with. And not necessarily always you should continue. So it's another realization that don't fall in love with your product, correct? Because that is what will make you not to look at the obvious.
You would stop the judgment that is required to
Yeah.
build the product, right?
So that's another thing, that don't fall too much in love with your product, that you are not able to see it's not going to work. So that's another realization. Always ready to challenge the way you do it currently and then pivot. Because in the era when everything is changing so drastically, one regulation can kill your whole business. You have to be very, very, very agile into.
I keep telling all my entrepreneurs that there would be a lot of people who would keep exciting you about your product and about your story by not buying it. It matters when the feedback comes from the people who want to buy it. So, and once you start selling it, you will realize that all those feedbacks and all that excitement that people built in your journey, there nothing, no cost involved into it. And as soon as the cost is involved, the opinions would change. So, if you are in love with your product, you would just hear good, nice things about your products and your offerings, and you would ignore the stuff which people have to pay to buy it, right? And then when the time comes when people have to pay, they will back off because they would not find any value, and they will, then the real feedback comes, and by that time it's too late.
Yes, pretty much right. I think it's every entrepreneur's journey that they go through of the same realization.
So if you are in reality, things will work out. But if you are not in reality, then it's better you take a pause and reflect back. As a CXO, which CXO hat is the most natural to you, that comes very obvious to you? I know the answer in the podcast itself, it's been very obvious, but I want to hear from you what role that you enjoy the most.
Strategy and product.
Right, strategy and product. Yeah, what I see you as more of an operation optimization person. So you would like to be in the processes, operations, optimize it, strategize around it. Maybe not getting into operation, but getting into operations in terms of building strategies around it.
Yeah. So as I said, the product and the strategy around it. So if it is something to be delivered, the ways to deliver, strategize that, and probably let the upstream take over deliver.
What's the future vision for Finvest? Scale, structure, specialization, what?
At this moment, we're just looking at hitting the 2000 family for the next 2 years or so. 2000 family is the milestone, only single focused. Because that will give us the learning to structure it, that how should we build it around? Should we build it for the scale? Should we build it for the focus?
Okay.
Yes,
and then the how do you serve also doesn't matter. Is it technology driven? It is personalization. Doesn't matter.
All those realizations, all in this journey, that probably we want to reflect and see that how do we pivot after that. So at this moment, the target is to hit the 2000 members.
What is that one role that is the most challenging that you find yourself as an entrepreneur? HR, finance, marketing, sales.
For me personally, sales is the biggest challenge, because I'm not, I would say, by personally there. That's my personal limitation, and I realize, and I'm working on it. But sales is one area where I think a lot of socks needs to be pulled from my side. Rest of these, like strategizing the marketing, the finance, the team, the operations, the product, more or less, I can wear different hat. But sales is one area where it's.
What's the one principle or one unnegotiable value that you keep yourself and Finvest aligned with while guiding people in their finances?
No wrong product suggestions.
Okay, so no product suggestions that will not fit your requirement.
Yeah. A product is not the primary thing, your purpose is more. So every product has its purpose. As long as your purpose and the product's purpose is aligned, it's okay. We don't push any product, and I think by design we'll make sure that unless I myself in that situation will invest into that product, it cannot be suggested.
My final question, which I ask to all my guests here, is what one role do you think that every entrepreneur should master to run a successful entrepreneurship?
You should know your customer, what they are actually paying for.
Okay.
You might feel that they are paying for your services, or they are paying for your product, but subconsciously they are paying for something else. Identify that.
And that's the role of a marketing
It's everywhere. You should know what your customer is really paying for. Don't assume that customer is in our business. It might be you might be thinking they are paying for our advice, whereas they might be paying for the charisma that you bring in, the kind of status that they can flaunt around that I have an advisor who gives me this. So you never know subconsciously what your customer is looking forward from you. Be aware of that is what I would say. That's where I think core, and that I think that sets a lot of success factor. If you are aware what your customer is really looking for, you can channelize all of your efforts towards delivering that.
Thank you, Lalit, for being a part of our podcast. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I hope our entrepreneurs have learned through your journey a lot.
Thank you, and it's been pleasure being with you. And with you, it's been a very different situation altogether. I can be on myself, talk to as I am. So, thank you so much.